and founder of Christ, true light. I want to share with you what I see in Scripture. This one is going to be a little difficult. I've kind of got an idea of how I can do this, like with an analogy. In the book of Exodus, God sent Moses in to set the Israelites free. Before he sent him in there, I forget what mountain he was on. He sees God. You speak to him through a burning bush. He picks up a stick, and God tells him to throw it down, or it becomes a snake in his hand. All right. And then Aaron, distracted already. Come on, Katie, give me a second. He sends his brother Aaron to him, but before his brother ever gets there, before he ever goes into Egypt, he's told specifically to take that stick, that rod that turned into a snake, into Egypt with him. And then you never see the hand, like the transfer from Moses to Aaron. That's why you have some Christians today that will say there's two rods. But he was specifically told to take that rod that turned into a snake into Exodus, into Egypt with him. And Aaron, you see Aaron with the rod. Okay. God performed the miracles by that rod. The rod is what held the power in the story of Exodus. That rod held the power. Okay, so the rod was kind of a form of God. That's why it turned into a snake, and this whole talk about the Bible, I'm not getting into all that right now. But the rod is what is what had the power. Now later on, God gives Moses a very descriptive blueprint about how to build the tabernacle. Don't have a room to show you. We're going to call this behind the Holy of Holies. All right, so you've got tabernacle, tent, and inside there's a door that comes in this way. Inside at the very back of the room, there is the most holy place. Okay, and he has him build an ark. And he put two cherubs on it, two angels, one at the head, one at the foot. Right, and this ark was beautiful. I mean, only the priest could enter it once a year. And he had to put on a white robe, and he had to sprinkle blood all over it. This big golden ark was covered year after year with blood, to atone for the sins. But it was in this room. So later on, there's an issue with the 12 tribes. He has Moses tell them to lay out the rods in that room in front of the ark, one for each father's house. So the rod that Aaron had was a Levitical rod. Aaron and Moses were both Levites. It was a Levitical rod. So that rod was from the house, from each father's house, was from the house of Levi. And that rod budded in front of the ark. And then he had him take that powerful stick, the one that performed the miracles, and place it inside of the ark. Put it inside the ark. Okay, so he puts it inside the ark. There's manna, there's the 10 Commandments. Everything that we were supposed to hold on to was placed inside of that ark. That powerful rod was inside of that ark. All right, but the ark was tangible. It was a physical item, but it was just an ark. But God's spirit supposedly dwelled in between the two cherubs. That power was inside that ark. That rod, that power was in there. God's spirit dwelled on top of that ark. Now later on, you see this ark perform miracles. Where was that powerful rod? It was inside the ark. It was in the ark. Later on, you see the ark actually perform miracles. And in 1 Samuel, the Israelites said, let us call for the ark, the Lord's covenant, ark of the covenant, so that this ark, he may go before us and deliver us from the hands of our enemies. Now the Philistines, when they saw that the ark had come into the camp, they said, "Oh no, a god has come into the camp." So this physical item was a symbolic god with the rod inside of it. That power was inside of it, but it was physical. It was a physical God, symbolic God. And it was captured in that story. God sent a plague to set that box free. Now, this is where I talk about how I say Jesus was not God. Was that ark God? That ark wasn't God, but it was God. The Israelites called it God, so that the Philistines, they called it God. It had power inside of it. A rod, a powerful rod, talks about a rod all the way out throughout Scripture. Do not rejoice, you Philistines, that the rod that struck you is broken. That rod that struck the Philistines was inside that ark, because that rod is what sent the 10 plagues that struck the Egyptians. That rod is what struck the Egyptians. The plague that struck the Philistines was inside that ark. Jesus, he was a physical thing. He had power coming from inside of him. But was he God? Was the ark God? What was God? God was inside that ark. God was inside Jesus. Okay? Spirit, enthroned between the two cherubs. Only the Levites could touch the ark. Jesus was a Levite through Mary. That power was inside of Jesus. He is a subliminal God. We are meant to see God die. That ark was not God. We called it God. They called it God. We call Jesus God. Jesus is not God. The spirit that lived inside of him, that performed the miracles, that was God. That viper did not want the truth exposed. I was going to bed about 2 and it sounded better in my head. www.christtruelight.com. Thank you.